as in schools of thought, approaches, belief systems, or ideologies. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, and welcome to the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast number 218. This is the one about mistakes made by both Jeet Kune Do camps. As you're logging in, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button and be sure and feel free to continue doing so throughout the broadcast. If you're catching the simulcast over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. If you enjoy my work and you'd like to support the program, please visit jkdrebel.com, click on the Rebel Gear link, and that's where you'll see stuff like that. Hey, they did a different version from mine, right? The Jeet Kune Do Notables coffee mug, also available in a horrendous hoodie, as Paul Bax likes to say, and a t-shirt, sweatshirt, all that good stuff. All right, but of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. Also, before we get into the meat of things, so to speak, if you are someone who is thusly inclined, go to helpukranewin.org, and they'll share with you their ways that you can contribute towards the war with Ukraine. But again, only if this is the kind of thing that you are inclined towards. Okay, back to the method at hand. So for those of you who just want me to cut to the chase, right? The issue is crystallization. That's it, on both sides of the issue, okay? So for anyone who is in a hurry for my final and ultimate dispensation, that's it. My overall view, that's it. Crystallization, there you go. All right, see you later. Okay, if you're still with me, let's take a relatively in-depth look at some of the things. I say relatively because if we were actually to take an in-depth look and like nitpick about, well, this camp said this, and that was wrong. This camp said this, and that was a mistake. This camp said this, and we went through like a checklist or like a menu item, right? Like a menu list or whatever. We might be here all night, and I don't have all night. The dudette is out of town on trip, and she did give me permission to hang out. So when I finish talking, I'll open up the lines, so to speak, and see if anybody has anything to say on this topic or any other Jeet Kune Do topic. But I digress. So what I wanted to stress instead is that these mistakes largely, right, for the most part, originated out of a mindset, sometimes well-intentioned by some, I would say, but other times definitely nefarious on the part of some of the players. This was not in my original notes, but I added it just today. So we'll start with this. This is something that I read yesterday. Said, and it had to do with a previous post of mine where I asked a question about mentors, right? And I put up the picture of Bruce Lee and Dan Inosanto and Ted Wong. And then the question was, I think it was like they had mentors, but they had minds of their own or something. And somebody said that one stayed true to the techniques and principles of what the art actually entailed, while the other went his own way, studied different arts, and made this grandiose effort to promote martial art eclecticism while still calling it his mentor's art, all in the name of making a buck, right? So I thought, you know what? I'll just deal with that one. So this belief, really, in essence, right? The reason why I chose that is because, in essence, this belief is perhaps the complete and total reasoning behind the whole series of mistakes as made by, and I'll use Jeet Kune Do vernacular for the sake of discussion, made by the original Jeet Kune Do school of thought and the Jeet Kune Do concepts school of thought. So here's what I mean. If you were to say, and again, I am making stuff up largely based on some facts, but some is conjecture. So if you were to say, I only teach what I got from Bruce Lee, and then you were to allow people to convince themselves that therefore what you're teaching is the be all and the end all of Jeet Kune Do, then that is a mistake, because you are ignoring, perhaps even intentionally, some glaring contradictions between the limited ideas that you are presenting and the ideas of unlimitedness which permeate Bruce Lee's writings and teachings. Conversely, if you teach that Bruce Lee was all about freedom and non-limitation, and you allow people to convince themselves, therefore, that anything and everything can be and is Jeet Kune Do, then you are guilty of ignoring the reams and reams of Bruce Lee's writings and teachings about how techniques should be performed and how principles should be applied. And so both camps, to a certain degree, are guilty of letting things go unexplained for so long that today what we have is some serious crystallization. Now, what the heck is this crystallization, right? Sounds interesting, doesn't it? It sounds, you hear the word and you start immediately to think about statements that Bruce Lee made, like, solidifying what was once fluid, or crammed and distorted by the classical mess, right? So classic definition of the crystallization process, right? The process of, interesting that word is being used. Ha 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 ha. Good one, Dwight. The process of atoms or molecules arranging into a well-defined, rigid crystal lattice. I thought that was interesting too. Atoms or molecules, right? Those things that dart around quickly, if my science, if I remember my science correctly. But here's the thing. The imagery that I think interesting, the interesting imagery that I came out of is that crystal appears to be quite fragile, right? And many people in Jeet Kune Do appear to have quite the fragile ego, which guides their behavior, as in not being able to handle anyone having a different opinion from theirs, right? And leading them to get into fights over who's right and who's wrong and what have you. Now, I know somebody's going to say, oh, but Dwight, you're quite guilty of that. Well, I don't know about you. I don't fight about Jeet Kune Do. I don't argue about Jeet Kune Do, but I will discuss and debate it. And you might say, oh, well, that's just semantics and what have you. No, no, no. It's intention, it's reasoning, it's mindset behind what you do and the way that you do it. Anyhow, I digress again. So the imagery of crystal, this, especially fine crystal, as being this this fragile thing. So people end up treating Jeet Kune Do itself like this fragile item, which you should place like high up on the shelf and not ever take it down and play with it. And they're always talking about how the art is going to disappear if people don't stop fighting over it, or what have you. So let me ask you this. If, let's say it was the early 90s, that whole original Jeet Kune Do versus Jeet Kune Do concept thing blossomed, right? So that's what, 30 something years ago. The art hasn't disappeared. You know what, I'm not going to tell you now, because I'm going to put it in a post probably tonight when I finish the broadcast. But it has to do with the disappearance, the eventual disappearance of Jeet Kune Do. Yeah, so I'm not going to tell you about it now, right? Okay, so back to the imagery, right? I keep digressing. So there's this fragile thing, but the truth is, right? Crystal might appear fragile when you look at it, but because of its composition, it has what do they call them? Fortifying materials, right? Lead oxide, potassium carbonate, silica, which I think is a word that means sand, right? So because of those materials that are in crystal, it's actually quite durable. So my admonition, people, stop all the virtue signaling about your concerns over Jeet Kune Do disappearing, right? Treating the art like some delicate flower when the art is going to outlive all of us, right? Get a freaking grip already. Okay, enough soapbox. You guys tell me what you think. In fact, let me just go here. All right. I didn't want to pull up a separate Facebook page because the internet goes crazy here sometimes. But let me run the risk, right? And see who's here. Okay, so I can't literally open up. There's no way to open up and hear what you guys have to say. But if anybody has any comments or questions on this, I'm going to try to look at what you're saying while I'm trying to do. I'm trying to multitask, as the cool kids would say, right? Give you permission. No one gives Sifu permission. Barreto, you're too funny, right? Great point on debate versus arguing. Yes, Yuski, and remember what I told you earlier, right? Vincent Perez is there. All right, cool. Okay, all right, okay. So nobody really has anything that they wanted to discuss. Okay, so I will get back to tea and what have you. But before we go, all right, I want to remind you guys that the Jeet Kune Do journey, the raw but edited version, is available. Just paypal.me/UnifiedMA Miami. PayPal.me/UnifiedMA Miami. And the raw but edited, it's in PDF form. So once I get a notification that you sent the $9.95 in, then because you have to put your email address in there, then I go ahead and I email you a copy of the book. I've gotten a little bit of feedback, and the people are enjoying it. They think it's mucho funny. I thought so too when I started reading it, because it was written a while ago. So as I was rereading it and getting it ready for publication, I thought this is pretty funny, right? But I'm biased. Anyhow, so that's it. What else do I have to tell you about? Friday, the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues will be with a guy that I have known. Gosh, I've known Pedro Rodriguez. Man, it's got to be 30 something years, right? But this is the first time he's coming on. He is Progressive Fighting Systems, Paul Vunak's organization. He is their representative in Palm Beach County here in Florida. So that's Friday at 6 p.m. Today is a beige, brown, and pink day. I love this shirt, but I don't know, for some reason I don't wear it often enough. Maybe it's because I love it, right? So hopefully I'll see some of you on Friday at 6 p.m. with Pedro Rodriguez. If not, I'll see you back here next Wednesday for another issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. Until then, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to take one last look at the stuff here. Okay, cool. All right. Talk soon. Take care, guys.